My wife all the time is telling me, put your phone down.
Yeah.
You know? Because you're rolling through your Twitter feed. And like, if my wife gets her phone out, then I'm like, okay, that, you know, all rules cease to exist.
Right.
And I'm rolling through the Twitter feed. Luckily, as you said, it happened at 9:05. We went to dinner like 6 o'clock. I was at home.
So you were already done.
I was thinking that immediately because everybody was tweeting that game winner. And I'm like, some dude is sitting at dinner with his phone below the table.
Or going to the bathroom. As a guy, every now and then I'll do this. Do you think, I gotta go to the bathroom, but you know that you can check sports scores or whatever on your phone while you go to the bathroom. Used to be women would go to the bathroom because they could talk about you without you there. But now the guy with his phone.
Man, he's getting on my nerves.
Yeah. How do I get out of it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But now the guy wants to get in the bathroom so he can check his score, so he can check Twitter.
And that's true because you go in the bathroom and there's a lot of dudes sitting there on their phone.
Yeah.
Like just standing in the bathroom.
I mean, I check it at the urinal while I'm standing there.
What if you drop it?
Oh, I worry about that all the time. I worry more about the toilet than I do the urinal. I think it would survive the urinal. The biggest fear I always have is I go on the road for these SEC football games or college football games. Would you want it to
survive the urinal? If it falls in the urinal, I'm done, man.
Oh, I'm getting it out.
No, I'm getting another.
The urinal, I mean, if it's not standing water.
It's like Jerry Seinfeld when he was changing his shoelaces on one of the episodes. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, it hit the bathroom floor. I'm done.
The thing I've always been worried about is dropping it in the porta potty. Now that is a bad example.
Oh, no. Now it's gone.
I've got the iCloud now.
Yeah.
But the biggest deal about dropping it in the porta potty at a football game is so many people communicate via phone. Like if you're with like 4 or 5 guys and suddenly you don't have your phone anymore.
Right.
It's like you're flying blind. So would you go in the porta potty? I've thought about that before. I don't even check it. Like the only place I won't check it is the porta potty. I bet there's a lot of people out there listening to us right now
I don't frequent the porta potty
that have dropped a phone in the toilet. I bet there's billions of dollars a year in lost phones to toilets in the United States.
JT.
Kentucky Lake owns, I think, 3 of my cell phones.
You just dropped them in
Kentucky
the
Lake, right here.
You lost one in the lake too.
That's right. I caught a fish,
one,
my phone.
and the wife lost 2 in Kentucky Lake.
How did she lose 2?
Well, now we put them in Ziploc bags.
Like James Franklin does.
Took us 3.
Do they float in the Ziploc bag?
No, but you can still, I mean, it gives you time. They don't float, but they're not going to
doesn't go
drop
down
immediately
immediately.
to the bottom.
Yeah. Because it's got air in the Ziploc bag, right?
Gives you time to jump in and go grab them.
How long do you usually stay on the boat? All day?
Do I know?
How about just not using your phone?
Well, you need it if you're on the lake and you're meeting other people on boats. They got to know where you are.
Here's why I
take my
put them
hands
in your
off.
pocket.
I worry about my kids knocking it out of my hands.
Here's why I had to take my phone at the lake because it's got my camera. I mean, it is.
A lot of people have the camera.
Yeah.
Jacob Underwood says Men's Health says 15% of phones have traces of fecal matter on them.
15%.
And Kelly just tweeted me and said, I've dropped 2 phones in the toilet and I've gone in for both of them. Twice. I bet it happens more frequently to women because women spend more time in the bathroom than men do.
Yeah,
and they're doing makeup and they're putting it on the counter, so you're trying to handle multiple things at once. Whereas really, we're pretty easy in the bathroom, at least should be.
Don next up on 3HL. Hey, Don.
I'd like to ask you guys to please stick to sports and quit talking about telephones and going down the toilet with your phone. You sound like teenagers. Would you please stick to sports?
Because teenagers don't talk about sports, right?
They do too. But your program ought to be about sports.
What would you like to talk about in sports?
Well, you can talk about anything in sports. But
you called the show, so I mean, what sports should we talk about?
Let's talk baseball.
All right.
What's interesting about baseball right now?
Spring training is getting ready to start. New season. Everything's interesting about it. Anything besides talking about telephones and your
would you get
phone attached to you?
Would you go into a porta potty after your phone?
I don't think I'd be in a porta potty, and I wouldn't be making a phone call.
Why would you not be in a porta? You just don't use the bathroom outside? What if you were at spring training and there's a porta potty there? You wouldn't go into it?
They have them. I've been.
Yeah.
You're not answering my question.
I'm asking you the question.
Well, no, I'm not on the radio. You
are. You called the radio.
You are on the radio.
I would like to hear. Well, I tune in to hear about sports. I don't want to tune in to hear teenage talk about the.
So you think teenagers sit around and just talk about porta potties all the time? This is what teenagers do.
I think they talk on their phones all the time, and that's what you sound like.
So this is intriguing. What else do teenagers talk about?
People that aren't teenagers don't talk on their phones
at all. Clearly. And the phone is a new invention.
For about 100 of y'all that sent messages about your phones, y'all are all immature too.
You're all teenagers.
According to Tom.
But he doesn't use porta potties. This is intriguing.
Okay.
Well, we were talking about Valentine's Day and then how some guys, go to the restroom and use their phones to check sporting events.
Yeah, there was a method to that madness.
I would actually argue that the phone has made me an infinitely bigger sports fan. Because I'm on Twitter with my news all the time.
100%.
I can watch videos. I'm trying to put my 4-year-old to bed, and I can watch the Jeremy Lin game-winning jumper that otherwise I would have missed.
Hang on, Fox. I got to check out this highlight.
I was like, this must be awesome. Everybody's tweeting this video.
We're going to wait on our prayers, but I got to see this Jeremy Lin jump shot.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I watched it without audio at first, and then I watched it with audio, and then I watched it with Mike Breen, who we're going to have on at some point soon, who called that game for the Knicks and also does all the stuff for ESPN. I think he's just inundated right now because this Jeremy Lin stuff it's taken off.
Don't talk sports. Oh, no. Talk nothing but sport. That's right. Okay. I'll get Don's point in a minute. David in the borough. Hey, David.
Hey, I'm going to make Don mad, but I'm going to weigh in on the dropping the cell phone in some liquid.
Now, hey, hang on, David. You're going to be immature with this quote.
You sound like a teenager, David.
I'm a 34-year-old teenager, so, that's how we roll.
Yeah.
But my wife dropped her phone in a mug of coffee that she was drinking in the morning, and she also dropped it in the bathtub when she was giving the kids a bath.
Twice.
So, yeah, twice.
What did that cost to replace the phone?
Insurance.
The coffee mug is tough because you have to have almost a perfect shot to drop the phone into the coffee mug.
Yeah, that's
right into the coffee mug. Yeah, she had to get her dad to call me at work to let me know that she didn't have a cell phone.
So what did it cost? What did it cost to replace?
Actually, luckily, both times we were up for a free upgrade. So
okay, that's good.
Lucked out.
Maybe she did it on purpose. She might have checked to see whether or not the upgrades are going on, then go straight to the coffee.
And then, so for anyone out there who does drop it in liquid, the way to remedy that is you take the phone apart, take the battery out, put all of it into uncooked white rice overnight, and the rice will soak up the liquid.
I've read about that.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
It actually works.
iPhones, you can't take the battery out, can you?
I don't know. My iPhone died. It's been the worst crushing technological life ever.
It died?
Yeah, my wife tried to update it, and I lost everything. Remember?
Anybody's phone number? The new one.
Yeah, now the new one so far, knock on. Now I got iCloud, so I wouldn't be as worried about dropping it into the. I mean, it would still cost something to replace, but everything would still exist theoretically. Everybody's saying, by the way, that Don sounds just like Hank Hill.
I thought that when we were talking to him.
Well, people been ripping him though.
Don is.
Our patience with Don was incredible. What a moron! Straight out of 180-degree chiropractor.
Don was destroyed. He may not like the phone.
Chiropractor came with that.
Yeah. Everybody on the cell phone device that Don finds to be so teenagerish is destroying Don right now. Poor Don. He hates the phone, and all the people who have the phone hate Don. So it's kind of like a antagonistic relationship there. Zach Kilgore, by the way, says, I bet Don is a shirt first kind of guy, pound old YMCA guys.
Uh-oh. He's letting the air dry?
Letting the air
Don't
dry.
say pound.
Yeah. Hashtag old YMCA guys. That's dangerous.
RM says he sounded like Hank Hill. Patrick said Hank Hill just called into 3HL. Jordan said, I dropped my phone in a bottle full of dip spit. I since quit dipping because I was so pissed. John writes, I wonder if Don realized that his request actually forced the show to not talk about sports.
Yeah, that's exactly what it did. Do most people not have home phones now because of the cell phone popularity and everything?
Tons don't.
We do, because of babysitters and stuff.
We don't.
I've got one for my alarm. That's it. That's the only reason I have it. And I get robocalled from politics people trying to get me to vote for them all the time. Drives me crazy. Yeah, it's not even the people. It's like, this is Barbara Bush telling you to go vote for, I don't give a damn, Barbara Bush's recorded phone call.
Barbara Bush.
Yeah, it's like all these damn robocalls. I don't know. I'm on every political mail.
Usually there's like a pause of like 2 seconds before the
but they leave it on your,
gets in.
They leave it on your voicemail. Yeah, if there's a pause.
But if you answer and there's a pause and you hang up.
Yeah, but I don't like to answer. If you know me, you know my cell phone
Aren't
number.
they going to create a cell phone that you can plug up to your home as your home line?
I'm sure. I mean, I would use it if I just had it set up easily for my alarm on my house. That's the only reason I have one.
Right.
I have the Comcast phone.
The new iPhone. The iPhone used to not work for me. For actually making telephone calls. After I lost, the old one blew up. The new one actually works pretty well. I haven't dropped very many calls. I used to drop like every call.
What carrier do you have?
AT&T.
Okay. Steve in Gallatin. Hey, Steve.
Yes.
What's up?
I just want to respond to the guy that called that's saying, stick to sports. I just want you gentlemen to know that the only reason I tune into you guys is because I'm entertained. And it's not just sports. I love the topics you go on in office sports and whatever. And it's entertaining. And I love it. It's why I listen to you. And I don't think, whatever you're, labeled as a sports talk show, you can talk just about, anything. And I don't know where he's coming from with that, but,
he's old and angry.
Yeah. Come on, Clay.
I'm entertained, and even though I have to take my lunch now at 3:00, but, that's okay. But about the cell phone thing, I didn't stop it anywhere, but, think of this. I have a very expensive, smartphone with Verizon, and, I left it on a table in the middle of busy Disney World in Orlando, and went back the next day, and because we had tickets for 3 days, and this happened. My wife saying it's gone, and just went up to guest services, and sure enough, someone had taken it and turned it in.
Oh, that's
Disney
good.
World is a good place to lose something, I think, because I feel like you're less likely to get stuff stolen there. A lot of families, a lot of people who'd be like, "Oh, this is probably a mom's cell phone."
Steve, thank you for the kind words, man. And honestly, that's the goal. Entertain. That's it.
Well, just think about it like a sports bar. If you're sitting at a sports bar and the people you're with only talk about sports, even if you're a huge sports fan, they're really boring to be with, right? Only sports. I mean, everybody has a friend who can only converse about sports. How much does your wife like that friend? How much does your girlfriend like that friend? It's like, I don't want to go out to dinner with Jim because he's going to be there and he's going to be like, I don't know what the Titans are going to do with their third string defensive tackle. And then you're like, do you get a new cell phone? He's like, yeah, because then now I can keep track of the second defensive tackle. And it's like everybody who's out there right now has one of these friends, and they're like a little bit socially awkward. All they can do is sports talk, and you can get along with them okay if it's just you and him. But if it's like you and more than one other person, this guy is he's worthless.
Don't we all have varied interests?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Even if you're at the sports bar, keep tabs on what you talk about at the sports bar. The sports is the focus, but a very small percentage of actual sports conversations are entirely sports related. That's life.
Jim writes, did Don not call in yesterday and bitch about you guys judging people?